What can you buy for £285,000 in the UK? You could buy this Porsche 911 Carrera, or maybe this Princess V40. How about this? A Banksy print Subway franchise? Rolex Submariner. What would you buy? You could buy what I've bought. So this is a semi-detached house in the UK, £250,000. When I say £250,000, it's actually over a quarter, £310,000 with all the fees associated. So buying a house in the UK is a long, drawn-out process. It's like the blind leading the blind. Conveyances, estate agents. The ones I had experience with buying this house was a nightmare. So be prepared for that. I did use a couple of them which were award-winning. I think if you buy a table at that award ceremony, you're guaranteed an award. It sounds like it's one of those. This house, it's a semi-detached house and it's a 3-bedroom. It's got a garage, it's got a driveway. I'll give you a wider view so you can see more of what I'm talking about here. And let's have a look at some of the bad points. So I did get a couple of estimated building costs associated with the things that are bad. And I'm gonna give you a quick rundown on some of those to see what costs what. So what we'll do is we'll start by walking up to the property, and the first thing is smack bang there. The driveway is not that big. There's a massive raised garden bed. The gutters, they needed a lot of attention. It looks like there was a lot of overflow there. And let's just have a look at this driveway here. This is quite big. From the street to the house, it's about 6 feet. That's number one bad point. Coming into the property, it's got a little porch area and this kind of tap randomly pipe in the corner, so that's something to be aware of. So take this as a bit of an overview of when you're checking a property, the thing you should look out for. So it's got laminate flooring, which is a nice addition. I can see a few little issues. It's got a gas fire there, so maybe that's going to be something to worry about, which I did find out later on. So the gas fire is definitely a bad point. And looking through, this is a semi-detached house, so it's open plan downstairs. The dining room and the lounge are one, but there are two separate doors, and that door looks like there's like a 2-inch gap at the bottom of that door. So later on I find out I need to replace that door because it's just a massive gap there and you can't get a filler there. It's got a sliding door, and look at this patio area outside. So you know I like to get rid of weeds from patios, and I can see a drain pipe there which kind of goes under the sliding door and around the wall and then down, so that needs some attention. It's got a really long garden, that's a plus. And what's this? Was there a door there? See where the bricks change? So just these are quick things that I noticed of the house. And that drain pipe, there's like water leakage on the neighbor's extension, so that looks a bit damp. So overall, the back of the property, you've got this step here, and that's going to be like a difference in floor level. We've got water outside, we've got electric outside, and the garage has a separate door right to the garden, which is good. So you can go from the front of the house to the back of the house. So when I'm walking max, I can just do the side entrance instead of going through the door. And the patio area, ooh, I need to do one of my specials and get rid of all those weeds. If you remember, I did that in my last house. So far downstairs, there's a few issues there I'm seeing. And then under the stairs, Harry Potter, there's a lot of meterage stuff going on there, so it depends how much I can use. There's a missing door on the kitchen. What I found out later was they used the kitchen door on the front room, you know, the glass one I mentioned, which was too short. They put this door there for some reason, and the kitchen didn't have a door. So if you're cooking, all the smells are going to go throughout the house. The kitchen cabinets, at first glance, they look okay, but there are some spots where it needs to be changed. It's like an old style one. So also, this is a massive one. The hood did not have an extractor. It didn't go outside, so that it was just circulating the same air inside. It's just a bit worrying how that kind of looks. Under the kitchen cabinet, I noticed a lot of waterlogged worktops, so the kitchen definitely needs to go. And these kind of things are, I don't know, is this something you would notice when you're viewing a house and you want to keep a checklist of this kind of thing? This is the internal door to the garage, and there's an issue kind of here, and a good point and a bad point, but the floor was all uneven. The slabs just laid there and they were wobbly. The boiler is here, so that's where the access point for the boiler is. It's got a felt roof, so at some point that needs adjustment. And beyond that door behind us, there was another little section which I didn't know, so that was one of the good points, that I had a little bit more space in the garage than I thought I did. They've got space here for a washing machine. Upstairs, it's got carpets, which is okay. There's a window on the landing in the upstairs balcony in the upstairs area, and I later discovered that I can actually go out of that window and go on top of the garage, so you can have like a little bit of a seating area if your view is good enough and the I think the wood is good enough. So here you'll see there's pooling on the roof, and the felt there was not joined onto the neighbors, so there's going to be potential leakage going on there, and there's water kind of sitting there. In the bathroom, I'm not sure about this setup. They should be swapped around, because if you want a mirror above the sink when you're shaving, I can't put a mirror there because of the window, so I'm going to swap those around. The extractor fan did not come on when you put the light on, so I later discovered I needed to change the extractor fan. The main bedroom upstairs, it's okay, it's not massive. Let's skip down to the garden. There's a lot of grass here, so I needed to get a lawnmower. That's a bad point. How about the good points? Now this is going to be the interesting bit, the good points. The bad has become a good, so you'll see the raised garden in the front. I can get rid of that. I've had some quotes and the price they've given me is quite high, so I might do a DIY job, but there is still space for me to wash the car on the drive. Garage door metal one wasn't insulated, so I did a DIY insulation job, and the floor and that door, remember that gap there? There was actually some space behind that, so what I was able to do was get some extra space in the garage by removing this partition wall, which is just like a wood thing. All of these individual segments here I'm showing you are going to have their own individual episodes, so stay tuned and you'll see the full versions of those, which are like more detailed, to give you an idea of how long it can take, the types of work you can do yourself, and also if you just like watching someone else do like a job or work, it's quite interesting to see how they do stuff. So I was able to make some extra shelving along the garage wall to put all my extra items here. I prefer making my own shelves because you can make them to your specification. It works out a little bit cheaper and you get the size drawers you want, as opposed to buying like those metal garage shelving units. So I did a lot of this bottom section of the garage where I made shelving units, and that was a good point because I had the space to be able to do that. So that's definitely a good point. And having these baskets that I use to store all my stuff in and label them is quite easy. So let's move inside the house. The good point was the loft. So there is a hatch into the loft. This is going to be a separate episode. I'm giving you a teaser, a quick look at the sizing of the loft. I did a quick measurement to see, is it feasible? How big can the room be? Can I make a little office upstairs so I've got an extra room in the house? So that's going to come in a later episode, so stay tuned for that. But so far I'll get a nice small office room. And then popping out to the garden, it's always great to have some garden space. I was able to actually plant out some trees, so that was amazing. I planted out 3 trees, a fruiting variety. I've got the lawn section at the bottom as well as the upper section, which I'm going to make my area. So you'll know if you're following the channel, I've got quite a lot of gardening stuff that I do, so I can actually have a dedicated section to that. Because I've got that extra space in the back, I'm actually making a couple of different types of garden beds just to see which works the best. Concrete, brick, maybe wood, and paving slabs if you're repurposing them. So I made a couple of beds up there, which will be obviously a proper dedicated episode, so stay tuned for that coming in the future. Also a good point was in the top corner of the garden there was some extra slabs which I could use to make a patio. I did have to also do a Facebook special slabs, so I had them delivered to the house. The shop brought them in, so it's 120 additional slabs I got. And the plan is to make a basketball court in the middle of the garden for the grass area. I've started doing work on that just to see how they will be laid out, the spacing and all that. This is not a proper layout yet. I'll be actually doing a proper job with the MOT type 1, inch of sand, membrane, and then laying the slabs correctly. But how I wanted to see how they would feel, so here's a quick time lapse of that. So overall there's quite a lot of work to be done in this semi-detached house. The gardens are very big. The house is a nice overall option. Would I do it again? Was this the best way to spend just over £310,000 in total to get a house? In summary, a couple of weeks in, I am quite happy with the house. I'm happy with the location, and all the good points do outweigh the bad points, so be prepared for the stress. So stay tuned, maybe subscribe to the channel if you want to see me progress the bad points of what you saw.